Good morning, Acadiana. It is 6:32 on a Friday morning. Thanks for joining us here on GMA. We hope that you guys are having a great start to your Friday. I know there's a lot that's going to be going on in the next couple of days. We're going to be checking in with Dave Baker right now for a look at Cristobal and kind of what we can expect here in Acadiana. Dave, I know we've been talking all morning, but some people may just be joining us. They do have a few more days to prepare for the possibility of that severe weather that could be coming this way.
Yeah, Katie, I think we've got 3 full days, all day today, all day Saturday, and really most of the day on Sunday. I want to get to the particulars of what's happening right now and how our day is going to shape up today, and then we're going to get into Cristobal here in just a little bit. 73 the current temperature, and it is rather humid out there with mostly sunny skies, and most areas this morning are running in the low 70s across Acadiana this time around. I do expect a couple of afternoon showers and thunderstorms later in the day. Rain chance only about 30%, but we're going to run up to about 90 degrees. Now, some of the factors that are going to come into play with Cristobal, first of all, we've got a lot of dry air that's over the western part of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see we're pretty much void of any clouds there. And then down to the south, Cristobal itself is still currently spinning over land with winds of 35 miles per hour, but it's forecast to move off the Yucatan Peninsula and then move across the Gulf of Mexico. Therefore, we do expect it to strengthen somewhat, but there's some wind shear out there and also some dry air on the western side, which would be an inhibiting factor. And that's why the National Hurricane Center is pretty much writing off the possibility of this becoming a hurricane. It looks like it's going to be a moderate to strong tropical storm. Now, of course, that can change. And a lot of this is going to be, the forecast is going to be dependent on as it moves off the Yucatan Peninsula and what particulars are around the system once it does do that, because as it's over land right now, it's not going to change a whole lot. So give it about 18 to 24 hours, and I think we'll really be able to zero in on the forecast, especially when it comes to the intensity. Track forecast, that's a lot easier. Intensity forecast, totally different story. So the track forecast, we'll probably see it coming on shore of the southeastern Louisiana coast, maybe southeastern Acadiana, but it could go as far west as Cameron and as far east as the Pearl River there. But you know, this window has shrunk quite a bit because you get more confidence in the forecast track. Now, again, the intensity, that's a different story. Right now, we're going with a strong tropical storm to make landfall on the Terrebonne or perhaps the St. Mary Parish coast with winds at about 60 or 65 miles per hour. Between now and then, you don't have much to worry about, and these are the days that you're going to need to prepare, especially if you got to pick things up outside. I don't think you're going to, other than sweating it out, I don't think you're going to have any bad weather to deal with the exception of a couple of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. And really the same goes for tomorrow too. Then by Sunday, I think we'll start out with some clouds, but the rains will start to spill in here by Sunday afternoon. Heavier amounts of rain just to the east, and then the system will make landfall and pull northward. So throughout the day on Monday, we're expecting windy and rainy conditions, and right around the center of circulation, we could see some sustained winds in that 45-50 mile per hour range. Most of us will probably experience 25 to 40 mile per hour winds on Monday. Partly cloudy, 91, 30% chance for an afternoon storm, more of the same tomorrow, then conditions kind of going downhill starting Sunday afternoon. Monday's going to be the rough day with the wind and the rain out there, and there could be some heavy rains too. Flood risk is still pretty much forecast to be just east of the Acadiana area, but that again is all dependent on the forecast track. Right now 73 degrees, 6:36 is your time.
Well, happening today, places across Acadiana will be handing out sandbags to help people protect their homes against Cristobal. In Lafayette, sandbags will be available at 400 North Dugas Road and 1017 Fortune Road. There will also be locations in Broussard, including East Main Street, Deer Meadows Subdivision, and Broadview Drive. Now, these locations will be self-bagging, so bring your own shovel and manpower. Over in Acadia Parish, sandbag distribution will continue today and tomorrow, and it starts at 7:30 this morning. That will take place at the Public Works Department located at 220 Jack Mitchell Road. 6 sandbags will be issued per driver's license. In St. Martin Parish, self-bagging sandbag locations will be available starting today at 9. Those locations are at Ruth Bridge, Paul Angel Park, and South Barn. Sandbags will be limited to 25 bags per vehicle. Now, guys, make sure that you check to see if you can go and get your sandbags at those locations or if they're just for residents. For a complete list of sandbag locations, distribution days, and times, you can check out our website. That's katc.com/sandbags. Well, here's an inside look at Cristobal, the system expected to regain tropical storm strength as it makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. In this video filmed by hurricane hunters, you can see the plane being bombarded by heavy rains and lightning spotlighting the sky. Happening today, Governor John Bel Edwards will meet with his Unified Command Group to get a briefing on Cristobal and also the pandemic. He'll then have a news conference at 2:30, which will air and stream live right here on KATC. Some COVID-19 testing sites in Louisiana will suspend operations next week with the potential threat of a tropical storm. The sites supported by the Louisiana National Guard and GOSEP will be put on hold starting Sunday until Friday, June 12th. They will resume on June 13th, depending on any recovery efforts needed following the storm. The tests done at nursing homes and prisons will not be affected. Well, that will bring us to the latest numbers in the coronavirus pandemic. In Acadiana, LDH is reporting 2 new deaths, one in Lafayette and one in Vermilion Parish. It's only the 4th death reported in Vermilion Parish since the outbreak. Evangeline is the only parish to see no changes in its figures. Well, these numbers and the uncertainty of the pandemic forcing the Delcamp Shrimp Festival to officially cancel for 2020. Organizers of the event say that there was no way to have a successful festival with all of the hardships imposed by COVID-19. They do plan to be back next year for the 70th annual 2021 festival. New this morning, UL students are finally receiving money from the CARES Act funding that was sent to the university by the federal government. Before this week, no UL student have received their share of over $6 million that must be given to students to cover expenses related to COVID-19 disruptions on campus. The university says they halted the process until they knew how many students qualified. Well, Governor Edwards has officially signed the order moving Louisiana into Phase 2 starting today. Capacity limits for Phase 1 businesses will be raised to 50%. Bars without a food permit will be allowed to open at a 25% limit. Tattoo shops, spas, event centers, and other businesses that have been closed will reopen. Phase 2 will last at least 3 weeks. The time now is 6:40, still to come on GMA.
Rallies and protests are happening across Acadiana to create peace and end police brutality. I'm Abby Breidenbach, and I'll have all the details coming up.
And Dave will have another look at our forecast, but first, here's this morning's Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Brooks Ritter from Southside High School, and I'm part of the class of 2020. Good morning, Acadiana.
Here's your weather on the 3s.
Skies are sunny right now. Temperature 72 degrees in New Iberia. The dew point 71. Some muggy one out there, and it's going to stay hot and humid later today as high pressure stays in control. Don't be surprised to see a couple of isolated showers or thunderstorms later this afternoon. So let's dig into Cristobal, which is currently over land. It's a tropical depression with winds at 35 miles per hour. It's been torn apart by land over the last 24 hours as well, and the structure really doesn't look very good. But it is expected to push into the Gulf waters a little bit later on tonight and early tomorrow, and once again become a tropical storm. Now, rapid intensification not really expected with this particular system, and we'll show you the reasons why, but it is expected to be a moderate to strong tropical storm as it reaches land sometime overnight Sunday night into early Monday. Biggest impacts, of course, will be east of the center, which includes the storm surge values as well as the heavier amounts of rain and the gustier winds. Now, if it tracks a little bit farther to the west of this envelope, maybe over towards Sabine Pass, we'll see more effects from this here in Acadiana. Of course, if it makes landfall over around the Pearl River area, then more of the effects are going to be Mississippi, Alabama, over toward Florida. So kind of watch the track of this forecast. Even though the window has shrank quite a bit, even a jog by 40 or 50 miles can mean a significant change in that local forecast. Now, as far as what are the inhibiting factors, there's a lot of dry air here on the western side of the system. And if that gets pulled into this not good structure, that could actually tear it apart even more. And there is some wind shear to go along with it, especially as it gets a little closer to the Gulf Coast. That's why the development forecast or the intensity forecast doesn't really bring it up too high, much more than a strong tropical storm. Right now, the forecast takes hurricane status completely off the table. Not saying that it can't, but it's not very likely that that will happen. Now, high tides are going to be an issue, could be starting as early as Sunday afternoon, with the rains more likely coming in by Sunday night. This is all primarily going to be just east of the center. I think just about everybody's going to at least get breezy conditions, 25 to 40 mile per hour winds based on the forecast that we have right now. But right around the center and near some of those squalls, we could see some winds gusting up to 50 or 60 miles per hour. Severe weather threat is also going to be right around the center of circulation and in some of those squalls. So again, as we fine tune the forecast over the next couple of days, this is probably pretty good on the guess when it comes to the time frame, but the intensity of this system and how it's going to affect each local area will depend on where the system actually makes landfall. But you got 3 days to prepare. Today, tomorrow looking fine. We're looking at highs about 91 both today and tomorrow, with a few isolated showers or thunderstorms during the afternoon. Early Sunday should be okay, but gradually we'll see rain becoming likely with temperatures running in the 80s. Monday will be go time with the wind and the rain coming in. We'll check out that extended forecast in just a couple of minutes. Right now it's 73 degrees at 6:47.
In northern Russia, a state of emergency is being issued after a major oil spill into an Arctic river. Investigators say 20,000 tons of fuel leaked into a river when a power station lost pressure in the remote industrial region. President Vladimir Putin blasted local officials who learned about the spill from social media 2 days after it happened. The cleanup is underway, but environmental experts say that it will take the river decades to recover. New information this morning: with millions of job loss to the pandemic and an unemployment rate near 20% for the first time since the Great Depression, economists have a forecast that the latest job report will show 8.5 million more jobs were lost last month, on top of the 21.4 million lost in April. A figure that large would raise the total losses since the coronavirus intensified in March to nearly 30 million. In national news, President Donald Trump has shared a letter on Twitter that referred to the peaceful protesters who were forcibly dispersed from a park near the White House as, quote, terrorists. The letter from lawyer John Dowd appears to be addressed to former Secretary of Defense James Mattis. And Mattis's Wednesday statement scolded Trump's response to the nationwide protest after the death of George Floyd at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. This morning, oil prices seeing an increase after 2 days of decline. Brent crude has seen an increase of $1.26, bringing that price to $41.25. And West Texas Intermediate crude price is up 88 cents, bringing that price to $38.29. Well, as protests continue around the country, people demanding justice for George Floyd. Here in Acadiana, more peaceful protests are scheduled for the weekend. And for details on those, we're going to head out live to Abby Breidenbach. Good morning, Abby.
Good morning, Katie. I'm live here in Lafayette in front of the Lafayette Strong Memorial on Camellia Boulevard, and this is where one of two rallies is going to take place tomorrow in Lafayette. This one is asking for an end to police brutality, and it's going to start at 10:30 tomorrow morning. It's expected to last about an hour. And then downtown in Lafayette, there will be a silent protest at noon. That's been happening every day at noon at the Alfred Mouton Confederate statue, and it's a silent protest. They say they'll be doing it down there for at least a couple more weeks. Every day at noon, silent protest downtown. And then heading over to Iberia Parish, there will be a rally tomorrow at 5 p.m. Protesters will gather at the parish courthouse and proceed to Lloyd G. Porter Stadium. Participants in this protest are asked to wear a mask and practice social distancing. Then over in Acadia Parish, a rally that was scheduled for yesterday has been moved to Saturday, June 13th. That will start in the afternoon around 3 o'clock. It's being put on by elected officials and law enforcement. They're inviting the whole community to come and support this peace rally. They're asking everyone from Acadia Parish, not just Crowley, and it will start at the MLK Center in Crowley. More information on rallies and protests on our website, KATC.com. Live in Lafayette, Abby Breidenbach. Good morning, Acadiana.
All right, thanks, Abby. In other news this morning, Saints quarterback Drew Brees apologizing for comments that he made about fellow NFL players who kneel during the national anthem in protest against police brutality and racial discrimination. Brees' comments drew backlash on social media, even from his teammates. The time now is 6:50. After the break, we'll tell you what you need to know before you go, and Dave will have another look at your Friday forecast. Stay with us.
I'm Gabrielle Morso from Kaplan High, class of 2020. Good morning, Acadiana.
Here's your weather on the 3s.
Skies are sunny right now. Temperature 73 degrees. The dew point at 70 and that humidity at 90%. We're at 73 in Welsh and Jennings and Crowley. 74 degrees over toward Breaux Bridge and St. Martinville. We've got high pressure in control, so not a bad day today other than a couple of isolated showers or thunderstorms this afternoon. And the same goes for tomorrow and really most of the day on Sunday. So you've got some decent weather to get prepared for what may be Tropical Storm Cristobal as it moves toward the Louisiana Gulf Coast. Now, it's just a tropical depression, and a lot of times you're getting used to having a new update on the coordinates at 7 o'clock. That's not going to happen today because there are no tropical storm watches or warnings on any coastline along the Mexican coast nor on the northern Gulf Coast. So when there are no advisories in place, we get the updates every 6 hours. So the next update isn't going to come until 10 o'clock. So you want to stay tuned for that a little bit later on this morning. But right now it's a tropical depression. It is forecast to move offshore once again and do some strengthening. It'll probably become a tropical storm, and it could be a moderate to strong tropical storm as it makes its way onshore. Notice the window here has shrank quite a bit, anywhere from the Pearl River area back to around Sabine Pass, with Acadiana right there in the middle. And as far as the landfall forecast, it brings it on the Terrebonne Parish coast and then kind of cruises it up along the Highway 90 corridor. So those areas of St. Mary's, St. Martin, Iberia could easily see some wind speeds based on this forecast, maybe 45, 50 miles per hour as it passes on by, and then some stronger gusts in some of those squalls. Between now and then, you got some fine weather to get prepared if you need to move things from the patio or move things inside that would be susceptible to some stronger winds. So today looks good. We're talking about partly cloudy skies with a few afternoon storms. Same goes for Saturday. And then on Sunday, that's when things are going to transition from clouds to rain and then some windy conditions by Sunday night. Could be quite windy overnight Sunday night going into Monday, and then eventually cruising across central and northern parts of Louisiana. What this is different when it comes to what we saw with Hurricane Barry back in July. This one is going to be on the move, so it should be in and it should be back out. There's your rainfall totals with the heavier amounts, of course, east of the system. If anything changes, especially if it tracks a little farther to the west, those heavier rains may be over the Acadiana region. 91-year high today. It'll be hot and humid, an isolated shower or thunderstorm, and then more of the same for tomorrow before we start to see the rains picking up into Sunday night and Monday. Don't forget that next update from the National Hurricane Center will not come until 10 o'clock later this morning. And of course, meteorologist Daniel Phillips will be on tonight at 5, 6, and 10 with the latest. You can catch Rob as well as Bradley over the course of the weekend.